I have a feeling this is gonna be pretty chaotic. Now, welcome back to my channel. My name's Abby if you're new here. I'm a lifestyle content creator here on YouTube and I typically upload once a week. I work a corporate job, I'm a CPA full-time, and I create content for fun, and I have been for about 8 years now. And something that I have loved my entire life is reading. I was an AR baddie in elementary school, and I thought it would be fun this month to do a TBR video. I've never done a dedicated TBR video on my channel. I did a 2023 reading wrap-up video, and that's like the only dedicated reading video I've done so far, and I don't know which video is going up first, but I also just filmed like a really cozy winter bookish vlog. I've traditionally always just like vlogged my life, which I love doing, but when my weeks are the same, especially right now during like my busy season, I just don't really want to be vlogging my day-to-day as much because it's just not interesting to me. I like doing videos like this where I can talk about something else and I'm not just like centered on my work. But I thought it'd be so fun to do a TBR video because I have like a lot of different things that factor into what I'm reading each month. I'm in a book club with my sister-in-law and some of her friends and some of my friends, so that impacts what I read each month. I try to utilize Libby, so that obviously impacts what I read each month. And then of course I have my own TBR that I want to get through. Physical, I have Kindle Unlimited books I want to read, all the things. But realistically, as somebody who works a corporate job and also is a content creator and someone whose corporate job has like long busy seasons, I can't read that much. So that's why I feel like this is going to be chaotic, because I can't really choose that much and I don't want to sit here and choose like 8 books and say that's my TBR for the month, knowing that I'm not going to finish 8 books because of how busy I'm going to be. But we're going to try our best. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and also follow me on my socials, link down below. Always a good time on my socials and you can keep up with me in real time. I made a TBR jar. She's little, and she's little because like I said, I realistically can't read that much in a year and month to month. However, I did start listening to audiobooks more recently and that's helped a lot with knocking books off of my TBR list and overall just getting more reading done. I have to give a shout out to my friend here on YouTube, Lottie Smalley, because she's like one of the only booktube people I watch and bookish creators I watch. However, I will say since watching her videos, I've had more bookish content creators come up in my algorithm on my homepage on YouTube, and I'm like slowly getting way more into bookish content than lifestyle content. I have to give a shout out to Lottie Smalley because she ultimately inspired me to create a TBR jar in the first place, and I love watching her TBR jar picks her monthly reads videos. So definitely check her out. I'll have her channel linked down below. So in today's video, we're going to set up my TBR for the month of February using my TBR jar, the book club I'm in, what I'm anticipating to become available for me on Libby, and then just the books that I want to read in February. And we're also going to be setting up my TBR shelf, which I will show you all shortly. I think we've been yapping long enough. I just felt like I needed to introduce myself because I feel like this video might get to some people who haven't seen me before. I'm only going to draw 2 things from my TBR jar because realistically, I just think that that's all I can do. So let's do our draw. I'm literally so nervous right now. First one, grand reveal. No. I can't do this month. Reread an old favorite? What do I even do? I don't even know what to do for that. How did I draw the number 1? Like, this is the first prompt I wrote. We're not doing that. I'm sorry. I know that's not the point of the TBR jar, but February, this month, not the month to be doing that. That's like a summer thing. Let's try again, shall we? Okay, next up. An author you want to read. Okay, this is perfect. This isn't gonna clear anything off of my physical TBR, which the goal of my TBR jar is to clear up some of my physical TBR, which I don't have that big of like a shelf. I've read some of these books and I have a lot of Kindle Unlimited books I want to read. So that's kind of the goal of my TBR jar, but this is perfect because my friend Julia, we talk about books a lot and stuff. She just recently realized that she's really into literary fiction. And I told her, I was like, oh girl, I am loving this for you because literary fiction is my favorite genre. And we were talking about how neither of us had read a Sally Rooney book. I was talking to her about Talking at Night and how much I loved it and how Normal People is apparently similar to that and how I also read One Day. And those 3 books are very similar from what I've read. So Sally Rooney is an author who I have not read yet, which I can't believe. So this is perfect because I told my friend Julia, I was like, what if we did like a little virtual book club where we just like read Normal People at the same time? We knew we wanted to do it soon and I told her that I was doing this video. So I was like, hopefully one of the prompts works out to where Sally Rooney works. So I think we're gonna pick Normal People by Sally Rooney as our winner for an author you want to read. Okay, now drawing for book number 2 from the TBR jar. A book by a queer author. Off the top of my head, I can only think of Glennon Doyle as a queer author because that's like the only queer author that I've known for sure when I've been reading a book from when I read Untamed back in like 2020. So I'm pulling up a list of just like some queer authors and the books they've written. So there's In the Dream House, that is on my TBR by Carmen Maria Machado. This is a memoir and it is a recounting of her history with an abusive girlfriend, but it takes on multiple genres and forms within the book in order to tell the story of the relationship. I've heard that this is incredibly well written. I just finished reading a memoir on Audible, so I'm thinking this one can be an audiobook listen as well, just because I don't have an audiobook pick for this month. So that's going to be my first contender for this one. And then my second option is going to be Old Enough by Haley Jacobson. This is about a girl who's just like striving to be who she wants to be in college, but she's recovering from her first situationship. And then she learns that her childhood best friend just got engaged. Something happened between her and her best friend's older brother when she was younger, and she hasn't really gotten over that. And with the wedding coming up, she is forced to go face to face with the trauma from whatever happened. But then there's someone from one of her classes that she can't stop thinking about, so it seems like not really knowing what she wants and trying to figure out who she wants to be and what she wants, while also recovering from past trauma. This is labeled as having some spice, thought-provoking, and moving, but I've also seen some reviews that say it reads like a YA book, which is fine. I love young adult, honestly, just because I feel like the love stories and the love interest, it just like hits a lot harder when they're done well, just because there isn't all this smut and you're actually getting more of the emotional connection in there. I'm really torn on which one I want to do, because like part of me doesn't really want to do anything like too dark and I don't know, like sad, which I feel like in the Dream House is gonna be very heavy. I really need this one to be an audiobook listen though, so I think I'm gonna go with In the Dream House. So we've got our TBR jar picks taken care of. Now moving on to what I'm reading for book club in February. So at the end of February, I'm meeting with my book club and we are going to be reading Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This is a thriller that examines our culture's obsession with serial killers and true crime, following two women who are on the pursuit of justice against all odds. I believe this is definitely a psychological thriller and it's gonna have like a lot of suspense, and I believe it is based on the story of Ted Bundy, and I know it takes place in Tallahassee from Florida State University, which is like 2 hours from where I grew up. So definitely a familiar setting to me, and I also heard that this book is very moving in regard to women and just taking on the justice system as these girls are trying to find justice for murders that occurred in their sorority house on campus. My book club, a lot of the girls in it, like my sister-in-law and her friends, a lot of them love thrillers, dark romance. I feel like I get outside of my comfort zone a lot in book club. So that is the book club pick for this month. And then a physical TBR book I wanted to pick for this month, we have this Megan Quinn series. I got this in PR back in 2023, and these are the books that have been sitting on my shelf in this room, because when I initially set up that shelf last year, it was around this time of year and I thought these would be really cute since they're Valentine's Day, February-esque themed books, and I just ended up leaving them up there all year because I never made it around to reading them last February. I just realized all of these are signed. I think those are wet ink signatures because it bled through. Okay, I love that. This is called the Kane Brothers series though, and I have read one of Megan Quinn's books before. I also got Vacation Wars in PR from her and her PR team, and I did really enjoy that book. So I know I really like her writing for just like a good romance novel, especially if you're into like spicier books and smut. The first book is A Not So Meet Cute, and then there is So Not Meant to Be. Third is A Long Time Coming, and fourth is Untying the Knot. I think we all already know I will not and would not get through all four of these books in February, but I think it would be really nice to at least read this A Not So Meet Cute one. From what I've heard, this book has a ton of tension and spice, so I think it'd be really fun to read around just like Valentine's Day, and also like Cupid being on the cover and stuff. I mean, hello. Our main character is strolling around a wealthy neighborhood in Beverly Hills, trying to make her nemesis jealous because they just fired her. And then she runs into this businessman while she's on her stroll, who happens to be Huxley Kane, and he reveals that he wants her to be his Vivian Ward from Pretty Woman. So living with this ultra rich guy and basically just going along with this fake dating, and then they fall for each other, or so I presume. Outside of A Not So Meet Cute, if I get around to it, is The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. Emily, the protagonist in this book, goes through a dumpster fire of a Valentine's Day, and when she goes to bed that night, she wakes up the next day and it's Valentine's Day again. It's Groundhog Day, but Valentine's Day version. And she has to rewatch her boyfriend, Josh, cheat on her every day. But then she also keeps running into this guy named Nick. And something good slowly starts to come out of reliving that terrible Valentine's Day. And then she's left to figure out what happens when this Groundhog Day ends. I have the special edition Barnes & Noble copies of Lynn Painter's books because I'm obsessed with the sprayed edges on them. So this is like a definitely shorter book that I think would be so fun to read for Valentine's Day, especially with it taking place on Valentine's Day throughout the whole book basically, and it's under 300 pages, so I feel like it'd be like a really easy, good physical book to read. I feel like I could fly through these if I really committed myself to it. So that's the physical book on my TBR that I wanted to add. And then I also have Throne of Glass. I'm currently reading Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, the tandem read. I want to finish these, but I didn't really want to like include them in this video technically because there is a chance I may finish it this week. The end of January is in a week and I'm a little over halfway through, but TBD, because like I said, I am working full time, so how much I get to read is just kind of always up in the air. And I think it's gonna be a pretty busy work week for me, so I don't really know how much reading I'll get done. And then last but not least, I wanted to say what I have coming up on my Libby. Originally had Nothing Like the Movies come up as an audiobook listen, but I deferred it 2 days, and for some reason it did 2 weeks instead on my Libby, so I should have that in about mid-February. And I read Better Than the Movies, and it was one of my favorite reads of 2024, and I read it on my Kindle, but I really just want to read Nothing Like the Movies to like know what happens, and I think that's gonna be also on my TBR as an audiobook, because I can typically get through like 2 audiobooks a month, I feel like, especially with working and getting ready for work and driving to work. That's what I'm gonna add on from my Libby. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap up the books that I have for my TBR for February. From my TBR jar, the first prompt was an author you want to read. For this one, I chose Normal People by Sally Rooney. I'm gonna be reading at the same time as one of my friends who lives in another state, so a little bit of a virtual book club, if you will. And then also from the TBR jar, I have a book by a queer author, and for that, I think I'm choosing In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. From my Libby, we have Nothing Like the Movies on audiobook. And from my physical TBR, I have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter and A Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. And then for my continuation of what I'm already reading and currently reading that I think I may not finish by the end of January is Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms from the Throne of Glass series. And then for book club this month, I have Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. So overall, we've got a little bit of a hefty TBR, but we will see how much I can get through. Here is my shelf that I'm going to put my TBR stuff on. I originally had the Kane Brothers series up there with Funny Story, but I'm wanting to put my physical TBR books up there, so that's what we're gonna do. Also, I've got to add that it's a lot later in the day. My nails did change color. I pretty much had to leave to go to a nail appointment, and then as soon as I got home from the nail appointment, I had to leave to go celebrate a friend's birthday, so didn't have time to film this portion, but we're back and we're filming it now at like 9:30 at night. Okay, so I'm gonna take these down. Gratitude journal up there. And Funny Story. I will never get over how beautiful the color of this cover is. These are my only 2 physical copies of TBRs for the month, and I had the whole Kane Brothers series up there, so I'm like, do I just put it back up there again? Since that's just like the series for this, instead of just putting these 2, because I don't want to just put these 2. But I also kind of want to curate the shelf a little bit more than the month TBR and kind of put themed books for the month. So February, I'm thinking like love, so we have my heart sprayed edges. I'm thinking pinks and reds. Obviously this blue is totally throwing that off. So let's get these 2 up there for now, and I'm gonna do the sprayed edges out. I'm gonna have to lay them down until I get enough books up there. And then for other books that I think would just look good up there, I feel like for February, Right by Sarah Rose Etter would look so good because it's just like reds and light pinks. But it's funny because this is all blue, so I'm like, should I just stick to the blues? But that's not February. And then I have Betting on You by Lynn Painter, and this is pink sprayed edges. But then the spine is blue. So like these 2 look good together, but then these are blues. Do we hate this? Like alternating the sprayed edges? I don't know. The blues and the pinks together are just throwing me off. I just don't even think that's how it needs to go. Okay, we're not doing that. I think I know what we're gonna do. We're just gonna keep the Kane Brothers series up there. It's been up there. Let's just keep it up there. I wish the red book was on the outside, because then I could kind of just start fading it into reds and pinks and use like ripe up here. I actually like those reflects my February TBR though. I'm like partially torn between, do I want it to reflect my current TBR or do I want it to be on theme seasonally? I think I'm gonna do this and then hug the end of it with another sprayed edge. Even though this technically isn't on my TBR for February, what is this book even about? It looks cute for Valentine's Day to have it up there. This pink one like won't go flush against the blue one, but we're just gonna leave it as is. I like having the sprayed edges kind of hugging the Kane Brothers series, so I think I'm happy with that. Color-wise, not so much, because I wanted it to all be like pink and red for Valentine's Day. We did what we could do. And that is all I have for this week's video. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload. And let me know what's on your February TBR down below in the comments, and leave a heart emoji with a little arrow through it if you made it to the end. And follow me on my social media link down below so we can keep up in real time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.